our keynote speaker, who is Jeffrey Beckham Jr. Jeffrey Beckham serves as Vice President and Career and Leadership Development at Chicago Scholars. In his role, Jeffrey is responsible for creating pathways to career opportunities, developing the organizational leadership strategy, and developing the curriculum for the leadership development of 3,926 young people who are either first-generation college-going or from low-income communities of Chicago. Jeffrey is a community leader and tech entrepreneur known for advancing the fight for equity and creating opportunities for leadership skill development for youth and young adults. Because of his work, Jeff is a sought-after speaker, delivering keynotes, commencements, and workshops for companies, universities, and organizations across the country. Over the course of his career, he's worked in the for and nonprofit sectors, building expertise in technology, youth leadership, development, and strategy. Jeffrey and I know each other because I am a Chicago Scholars alum. I'm a first-generation college student. So when it came time to figuring out who was a keynote, I really wanted to make sure it was somebody that reflected the values of not only the Underrep'd, but in terms of who I look up to in terms of a mentor and somebody that I would want you guys to want to emulate as well. And he has an amazing story, and so I would like you all to give your undivided attention and the biggest applause you possibly can for our keynote, Jeffrey Beckham.
Thank you, Quinn. So, look, first, thank you to the Underrep'd, to Quinn for having me. Thank you to all of you all for taking part in this conference. Let's give it up for the Underrep'd, y'all. I was speaking earlier and I said I wish I had something like this when I was at the University of Missouri Columbia, where if any of you all know about Mizzou, we have undergone years of fighting, racism, systematic racism, structural oppression, things on our campus where in the last couple of years, it's been a media offense, right? So it's the whole thing about the hunger strike a couple of years ago, and then the football team were going to actually strike. They weren't going to play, which resulted in the coach being fired, the assistant president being replaced, and them adding an entire department around diversity and inclusion. So I'm really proud to say that I go to a university where students, just like you all, use their voice and use their collective power to influence the campus, to change the campus. And so I think this is a relevant conversation at the right time. We have a new mayor, right? And regardless of how you feel about her, there's a time and new leadership is popping up all over our city, right? We've got 5 truly progressive aldermen going into city council. And what does that mean and how does that look? And what are we going to ask for as a community and as a collective? What are we going to push for? So I don't believe in just talking at you, right? When Quinn asked me to give the keynote, I was like, well, yeah, I do that. That's cool for commencement addresses. But this is a day of like workshops. This is a summit. And so while I'll speak a little bit in the beginning, I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to talk with your neighbors some. This is going to be interactive. We're going to have a conversation. And what I really want to talk to you about, the idea of authenticity over assimilation, really, at the core of it for me, all of it stems in leadership, personal development, and developing yourself as a leader. So we're going to talk about what that means to be a leader. We're going to talk about your own leadership and how it shows up. And right now, I just want all of you to know there's one defining thread for all of us. We all have innate abilities and skills to become a leader, whether or not you see it yourself or not. And I'm not defining leadership by title, but by what we say is influence. So, who am I? I'll start a little bit and tell you who I am. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. My parents are from Auburn Gresham. They had me young, and I am the first person in my family to go to college, the first black male in my family to graduate from college. I graduated from the University of Missouri Columbia, as I mentioned before, and went to Marian Catholic for high school. Now, when I stepped on the campus, the steps of the campus of the University of Missouri Columbia, I didn't know what to expect. I went to the school, honestly, because my cousin went there, and about a week before I arrived on campus, he decided to transfer back home to Columbia. So going down there expecting to have a network and have people, that changed for me. And the second day of school, I remember walking down Hill Street, which is like our secondary street. We got Broadway and Hill Street. And I was walking down Hill Street and a car full of white guys passed me in a truck with Confederate flags flying out the window, and word for word, they said, nigga, go home. Now, for some, that would have triggered them. For some, that would have probably made them upset. For me, I'd already been conditioned and systematically gone through Marian. The same thing happened my first week of school at Marian Catholic. Now at Marian, I got into a fight and got suspended. But growing up and developing more emotional intelligence, when I was at Mizzou, I actually did not fight. I knew who I was at that point. And knowing who I was and knowing who I am, they can't define me by what they call me, right? I knew that I was a leader. I knew that I was smart. I knew that I was equipped and capable, and I knew that I deserved to be on that campus. And so instead of replying or throwing something at the truck, which was really what I wanted to do, I decided to fight differently. As a freshman, I ran for one of the student association roles. I won that seat. I worked with our Legion of Black Collegians and Black Culture Center. And for me, that just fired up something in me. I didn't go to campus knowing that those were the things I was going to do. I went to campus to kick it. And I did. I had fun too. I pledged, I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I sung, I rapped, I did everything that I could on campus. But I also, yes and, I believe in the idea of a yes and, I also participated in activities to fight for justice on our campus. I saw a hand, I want to make sure I honor that question. Did you have a question?
No, I was just gonna ask you, Marion Catholic in like the suburbs?
Yep, in Chicago Heights.
Yeah.
And when I went there, it's a lot different now. It's like 50% black now. When I went there, I was one of 15 African Americans in my class out of 395. So you could imagine that the campus had its own issues dealing with race and privilege. And it was a mess, quite honestly. But again, it didn't break me, it didn't, confine me, and I knew, I was confident that I knew who I was, and so that helped me push forward. Tony Robbins says that there are certain patterns that cause people to be happy, to be fulfilled, to be fit, to feel alive, to be vibrant, to have passion in their life, to do well financially, and even more importantly, emotionally, spiritually, and to feel good about their life. There are also patterns that make people feel frustrated, depressed, sad, lonely, and cause them to struggle financially, struggle with their bodies, struggle emotionally, and those patterns aren't because there's something wrong with those individuals, it's because of something that they're doing. What's the fastest way to create change? It's basically developing one thing that all people have in common to succeed. It's that they're leaders. I don't care what style you are, I don't care how big you are, I don't care the color of your skin, how tall you are. If you're a great student, then you lead your work. If you're a great parents don't get led by their children, they lead their children. And if you're great at business or great at being a salesperson or a great human being, that's been what I've seen my entire life. They lead what they're great at. What makes the difference in people's lives? It's the leadership component that makes people follow them. It's not the authority. It's not my title. It's not vice president. It's because people believe in who I am. People will believe in your message and believe in you before they care about your title. A leader lives life on their own terms, and they will never settle for less. They'll never settle for less than they can be, or what they can give, or what they can create. It's not what we get that makes us happy. It's who we become. And so when we talk about being the authentic versions of ourselves, right? An authentic, real expression. I always say, be who you are, an authentic, real expression of yourself. It's not about assimilation. It's about who you become. The challenge is many people are living like trying to be something they aren't. And we know that. We see it. How we post on social. The other day I had a friend who recently got married, and everybody congratulated them on their marriage on social media, right? The wedding pictures were beautiful. You guys have seen them. Professional pictures, they're looking at each other, they're in the middle of Chicago on Michigan Avenue, they look dope. A week or two before, she had just pressed charges against him for domestic assault. We're living to be something that we're not. We're trying to be something that we're not. And you all probably have friends that post and make it look good. The problem, and I like social media. Before I came to Chicago Scholars, I ran a digital marketing agency for 10 years. So I'm all in on social. I believe in it as a way to share story and tell story. But the problem that I've always had with it is that you only see the shiny parts, right? No one sees all the work and all the effort that you went through to make that thing happen. They only see the end results. Even today, we saw the Underrep'd photo. We've seen it for weeks. We see our lieutenant governor, first black female lieutenant governor, Juliana Stratton's coming to speak later. You see the people connected to it, and no one saw all the work, the effort, the sleepless nights that Quinn and the Underrep'd team went through to make this happen. Yeah, give it up. So, because that's a challenge, you have to realize that it's not so much about change and changing other things. You don't have to change yourself. The change happens when you be yourself. So they say know thyself. Know thyself and be thyself. We've worked hard to try to be the way others think we should be, and we've done it so long that we think this is the way things are supposed to be. Well, I'm here to tell you that the difference and the differentiation, a different factor in all of this is leaders. Leaders are masters of influence. They know how to propel themselves and others to move forward in life. And in order to influence other people, they know what already influences them. Do you know what influences you? Do you know what moves you to do something? Do you know what motivates you? Can you call those things out? Do you know what your derailers are? Do you understand? For me, it's fun. Like, I love working and I work really hard. But the minute the homies call and say, let's go here to go to this party or this, for me, historically, especially when I was younger, it was like, all right, let's go. Right? But I had to learn that about myself.
Did you come first?
What'd you say?
Did you come first?
That's right. And as a result, leaders, they influence others to set a new standard for themselves that those people live by when they aren't there. When you master the skill of influence as a leader, you control the ultimate force for giving, creating, sharing, and contributing more. I love this graphic, right? This is like how leadership for me is put together. It starts with intention, like being intentional about your efforts, about your work, about the things you do. But it starts with self. It's nobody else, it's internal. Self-confidence, self-awareness, self-efficacy. You gotta be confident in what you do. Know that you're great. It starts there. It's secondarily having self-awareness. Great leaders are self-aware. Me knowing that my derailers are fun, my derailers are liking to talk too much, right? I know that. It helps me be more effective as a leader, and then being able to practice self-efficacy, to advocate on my own behalf. I think we were talking earlier before you all came in, and I love Chicago. Like, I'm Chicago to the heart. I love this city. I could have left numerous times, and I won't, because I believe in the city. I believe in the people here. I believe in coming. It means something to come from Chicago. And I love that. But I also recognize that with that comes some bad habits. We've told ourselves in Chicago that we don't need to work together. We've told ourselves that I can do it on my own. City of big shoulders, right? And if we believe that, that's why we are doing things backwards. We're working backwards. Other cities, black people in other cities are working together to produce massive change, produce massive outcomes. And I feel like it's y'all generation, you all that are starting to change that. It's your generation, it's the chances of the world. It's those guys that are changing, and young ladies that are changing the way things happen here in the city. People your age forced the mayor to resign. People your age got Kim Foxx elected. People your age are changing the way our city runs. You are holding feet to the fire on things that people have not tried to do for years and haven't been able to. Just think about it. Remember the day of the Laquan McDonald verdict? You remember how scared they were in the city? They didn't know what was going to happen. We work on State in Jackson, me and the Chicago Scholars team. They had cops lined up on every single corner. Police, horses, scared to death. Because they're scared to that fire to be a catalyst, and you are, they're scared. And rightfully so, they should be. Because we have sat for far too long and been quiet for far too long about things that have affected our community. We have let things happen for far too long that have been negative indicators of what's happening in our neighborhoods. Allowing for the disinvestment, taking jobs out, spending $2 billion on Lincoln Yards, another $1 billion coming for the 78th neighborhood right here off Roosevelt, but yet letting Inglewood, Austin, Pilsen, Lawndale, communities fall on top of themselves. That's intentional. And until we start to and continue to push towards working together more, those things are going to continue to happen. But once you start to fire this up, right, you see the self-advocacy and the self-confidence and self-awareness start to rotate. It's like gears. That's how you drive influence, and that's how you drive impact. Each one of you have influence, and with your influence, you can create change. It starts with just the people right next to you. So I got an exercise for you all. I want you all to think back to your earliest leadership story, right? So you're gonna pair up with a neighbor, somebody like close to you, maybe pick somebody you don't know. And think back, take a minute first to think about your earliest leadership story. And then I want you to share that with the person next to you. Each have like 2 minutes to share out. I'll give you mine. My earliest leadership story, I remember this. I was in 7th grade. It's the one I remember. And I remember seeing the merry-go-round in our schoolyard was broke. And it wasn't just broke, it would like cut people. So it was really bad. And I said, I don't know what to do, but I ran for student council because I knew the student council could force change. And in running for student council, we worked together to raise money to replace the merry-go-round. Didn't know why I did that. I just knew something needed to happen. It needed to be fixed so people wouldn't be hurt. So I want you to think of your earliest leadership story. Tell the person next to you that you pair up with, and then I'm gonna ask a couple of you to share out. All right, so take 4 minutes, 2 minutes each, go.
Sorry, I have to say, I was just telling them about how I was president of the student council in high school, so we had to get these presents for these kids, and a lot of people weren't, going out and getting the presents, and I was at a predominantly white school, and I know all these kids, they got a lot of money and things like that, and I'm just, I kind of snapped on them a little bit. I was like, you guys get all this stuff every year for Christmas, and these kids barely get anything, we need to step up our game and things like that. So.
So I went to Simeon actually, Southside, and we don't have a student council, so I didn't really have a leadership position in high school, but in college, I noticed that I went to NIU, which is right outside of Chicago. I noticed when I first got there that students were voicing concerns around the Trayvon Martin situation, and also there were a few students from NIU from Chicago that lost their lives from going back home, winter breaks. So students were protesting that, and the city of DeKalb felt the need to create all these ordinances pretty much against protesting. So what I did, mind you, I studied political science, so this was already in my mind, but I figured we needed to build city council and city hall. And that's what we did, and this was my first time, going to City Hall, talking to elected officials.
Yeah.
But to be able to voice our concerns to them as to, how we felt about not only the police jurisdictions, but the passing of students. We want to commemorate the students that we lose. Simple as that. You guys, you do it all the time to your fallen soldiers. So we just felt the need to do it there. So to have that. I think that back and forth was a great icebreaker for me into politics, and that was my first leadership position.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. See, I think people think like it has to be like grandiose, like you have to do this major thing. I think I overheard someone say, like, I'm not necessarily the leader because I'm not that outgoing and I don't speak like that, and guess what? I didn't either. Like, my first time having to get up in front of people for real was when I was forced to, because a youth pastor was like, yeah, you're going to give this speech in front of 2,000 people. And I was scared to death. And I shook, and then I got up and I found out that I was actually good at it. But there are different competencies in being a leader. You may not be the best communicator, but maybe you're great at decision making. Maybe you're great at critical thinking, right? Some people lead in front, but some people lead from behind. And what do you all think happened over time with those relationships?
They started dying off.
That's right, they eroded. And I was like, man, what's going on? Why can't I get the client back again? Why are they going somewhere else for the next website or the rebuild or the content? Because in my head, I think I'm doing a wonderful job. I'm replying, but it wasn't personal. So as I built my team out, Who do you think I hired? What kind of person, what kind of skills do you think I found in the person that I hired? Somebody that was strong in what? This relationship building. And my project manager was super strong in all of these things. She's great. She's going to start her own company now, Rio Bryson. And she was phenomenal. Guess what it did to our revenues? Business grew. Doubled our revenues in a year. Because you have to be, first off, self-aware enough to say, you know what, I'm not good at some of these things. I want to get stronger, and I practice to get stronger. I do better now. But I still needed someone that was really great at that, right? They always tell you, as you start a company, you should have a great accountant, a great lawyer, right? Those are the reasons behind that. You can't do everything on your own to be effective as a leader, as a business owner, as a student. So I tell people, you have to know your core four, right? Understand your strengths, but then identify 4 topic areas you want to make your thing. And when I did this years ago, mine were community, technology, faith, and healthcare. Healthcare is switched. I don't work in healthcare anymore. I work in education. So now it's community, technology, faith, and education. And if a speaking engagement, if an opportunity for a small business, if whatever it is doesn't align those core 4, I don't do it. But you have to pick your 4. What are your 4 things? So why does this matter? Why is this necessary to do this? What are we looking at? What are we up against? The canvases we walk into and the corporations we deal with are still very homogeneous. They are comprised and dominated by white people. That's what it is. White privilege and the construct of whiteness has dominated corporations, corporate America, college campuses forever. College and workplace cultures have unwritten rules and norms that have been created not by people that look like us. And we don't oftentimes know the rules of the game. First generation black students are told, go to college. Remember your mom? Go to college, get that degree, get a good job, right? Those are the systems that we're told. Go to college, get a good degree, get a good job, get out of school, make some money, get out of my house, right? Probably in that order. But the problem with that is that we do our young people a disservice in that fact. See, on the other side, when the kids of privilege go to college, they're told, go to college, explore, meet people, pick up some skills, study abroad, get out of school, find yourself, and figure out what you want to do next. I don't know about y'all, I wasn't afforded or awarded the opportunity to have time to find myself. The day I graduated, bills started coming, and I had to have money to pay my bills. But now I think there's a yes and. I think there's a world of telling our young people, like you all, go to college, meet people, build your network. It is important, right? It is critically important. Pick up skills while you're there, while you're getting your degree. Use classes to build in skill development. If you're a good writer, take writing classes. Make those your electives. Study whatever you study, but take a coding class. Pick up some basic skills. If you're a speaker, take public speaking. Practice and hone your skill and your craft. Because there will be ways for you to use that skill to build your network, to grow what you want to do, right? What you want to do. This isn't about what I'm telling you to do. When you graduate, you can be a doctor and be a great public speaker. You can be an artist and be a speaker. No one's telling you that you don't have to. Why can't you do both? Why can't you be a musician and also teach people how to build businesses? Why can't you do both? Who says you can? The world's told us that. We bought into these social norms and these constructs. That's part of the assimilation component. And don't feel bad, I did it too. Got to school, graduated, went to go work for Navistar Financial Corporation, walked into this company, had a job in finance, and I hated it. It never felt right. Caused cognitive dissonance, right? I'm getting up every day and I'm going in because I know this is what I'm supposed to do, but in the core of my spirit and stomach, my stomach turned. Because I hated being there. It didn't align to who I was. It didn't align with my values, my purpose, and my strengths. It didn't align. Right? And if it doesn't fit, it's not right. You can't fit a square peg into a round hole, no matter how hard you try. Implicit bias proves the impact of unconscious bias. So again, these terms, you can read the definitions, I won't read them out. Implicit bias refers to like attitudes and stereotypes. Unconscious bias is your background, your personal experiences. We walk into rooms in the playing field, whether it's college or jobs, every day, where this is ripe. And we have to know the rules of the game. Now, I'll tell you why it matters. First, I know there's two options here. Some people say, well, Jeff, why do we play the rules of the game instead of creating our own game? We need to create our own game too. This is a yes and world. It's not either or, it's both, right? So we need to have folks that are willing, ready, and able and equipped to walk into some of these systems and take take what works, right? Strip it down, take the money too, and bring it back to our people that are building our own and grow our own. Because some of the stuff works. Some of the ideas and concepts do work. Take out the foolishness and some of it works. So it's both. And I'm here today to talk about more of the rules of the games that's being played, but I'm telling you too that if you're building, be a builder too. I will always have a business. Now, I work for Chicago Scholars and I love it, but I still have tech stuff that I do. I still get paid to speak. I always have a second stream of income. Be smart. But it's necessary. Look at the numbers up there, y'all. This is real. This is what's happening to us, right? Fewer than 15% of Fortune 500 board seats that help out people of color, right? If we don't correct what's happening in black wealth creation by 2044, the median net wealth in black households will be negative. Negative net wealth. More money going out than coming in. You cannot sustain your household like that. Right now, the median net wealth for black households in this country is $6,800. For Latinx households, it's $1,100. For white households, it's $118,000. Stark difference. This is why this matters. Understanding what's happening. 3 black U.S. senators, 4 Latinx. 3 black CEOs, 11 identifies Latinx. And 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day. So guess what? That means they need us. They need y'all. There are opportunities that are opening up every day. If I have another presentation where I pull up the article. But I'll tell you, the work really isn't on your end. Black graduation rates in this country have doubled over the last 20 years. So the talent's there, the pipeline's there, all of you are there. The work revolves on us forcing and kicking the door in on the other end. They need to do better. Companies need to do better. Allowing us to walk in and be our whole selves, not questioning me about my beard or my goatee, not questioning sisters about their natural hair, not asking about how your hair wrap looks this day. Like, why does that matter for you to be able to do your work effectively as an employee? It doesn't. Or as a college student on campus. Let's stop there. Any questions so far? Any thoughts? Any ideas? Comments? Yes.
So when you found your 4 core, so did you do that from the test, or did you do it more from self-reflection to figure out what was important to you?
Great question. I did it doing self-reflection and figuring out what was important to me. The test told me my strengths, more of the skill side, and the 4 areas of things that I loved, right? So for me, faith is a big part of my life. Community and economic development was something that I've always been interested in. Technology, had a tech company, spoke on tech. I'm a big advocate on blacks in tech. And then education. And the reason healthcare went away and education came is because I was working in healthcare, but I never was passionate about it. Outside of work, I always did things that were education related. So I'm a mentor for the 100 Black Men in Chicago. I mentored for the Link Unlimited Scholars. I mentored for iMentor. All these organizations, and it was always around youth access to education. I ran for the local school council, King College Prep, served for 2 years there. Everything was education focused. And I was like, why? This is weird. I do all this. Why isn't this part of the core things that I'm doing in my life? So I actually sold part of my company to go work at Chicago Scholars, right? And that's a story amongst itself. My background's not in education, my degree is not in education. I have a business degree, yet I run an arm of education nonprofit on career leadership development. Yes.
So because I feel especially because you going on your path to decide what you want to do, I feel it's easy to kind of put yourself in one spot, because I feel we all want to be stable, have a stable income.
Yeah.
So when you kind of ventured out, how did you go about doing this? Or are you just let me try something new, or just start doing stuff that you like to do?
You answered the question. This is good. Yes. So how I got to Chicago Scholars is a really good story of that. I ran a college entrepreneurship and career readiness program at UIC for the 100 for 6 years. So I teach young kids every Saturday morning entrepreneurship and college and career access. It's a 15-week program every year for 6 years. So I got this pipeline of 180 kids that I work with, all either from CPS or from UIC for the last 6 years. So I built curriculum. I had the network of speakers. I worked with the companies already. So when I applied for the job at Chicago Scholars, the work that I've been doing as a passion, I built all these skills and didn't even recognize it. You all have skills that you've done, things you've done that aren't directly related to the colleges you go to and the campus you sit on that are transferable. Are you working in that club? Are you the person that's the strategic organizer in the club? Are you the person always managing projects? Put all of that on your resume. All that transfers. Put all of that in your business plan when you start your company. All that transfers. I talked to a young lady yesterday. She's starting a dog grooming business, right? It was a hobby. She got a job at PetSmart when she was in high school and learned. Went to school for business, but yet she wants to start a dog grooming business. And guess what? There's a business open that closed on 126 in Halsted that we're helping her buy. Who would have known this high school thing that she liked doing, working with pets, will turn into something that the community needs? It doesn't have to be major. You don't think it's major at first, and it turns into something major, right? What's the I can't believe it's not me, just opened at Hyde Park on 53rd. They saw a need that there's vegan people, more and more people eating vegan diets and lifestyles, and there were no vegan options, truly vegan options, that were good and tasty at Hyde Park. Creativity, need, creative, right? We walk through neighborhoods all the time and say, man, I sure do wish there was a cleaners over here. I sure do wish there was a place where I could just sit and do some work and maybe grab a good cup of coffee. I sure do wish there was a place where we could gather and come in and learn business etiquette. Or I sure do wish there was something, this, that, and other. Whatever those I sure do wishes are in your head, write them down. I believe that you have to write the vision to make your plan, so write them down. Start putting them on paper. And a dream doesn't become an idea until it's on paper, right? You create the stories and the narratives of your lives. And without creating the story, people will make one for you. And that's happened in our community far too often. Even the narrative around violence. For those of us that are from Chicago, we know what's going on. And we know what's been going on for decades. These numbers aren't anything new. We've been 700, it was 923 murders in 1989. No one cared till it made the media. No one cared till it was in social media. No one cared. So we have to control the narrative and write these visions. So I'm gonna fly through. I'm almost done. I got about 5 minutes left. I'm gonna fly through some quick rules. And what I'll do is send these out. I'll give this to Quinn and send it to you all. You can hold on to this presentation, which I normally don't do, but it's for y'all. So, look, success is intentional. Create a leadership action plan for yourself. I'll send you a template on how to do it. 2 year, 3 year, 5 year. Put goals on paper, what you want to accomplish, both for yourself personally, for your community and your profession. And I believe you have to add the community piece there. Begin with your goals in mind, start, write it down. Understand the game you're playing, right? Don't fall prey to stigma, to tokenism, to negative self-fulfilling prophecies. If someone tells you this is something you aren't, don't believe them. You control that. You own that. You just did a class on body positiveness. It works for your mind too. And the idea that we go to the gym to work out our bodies, but we don't go to therapy to work out our minds is a fallacy. It is nothing wrong with going to talk to a therapist to work out issues with your mind. It's exercise. Same thing. You go to the doctor, go to the doctor. It's okay. If you feel some kind of way, if you feel you're being pushed in a corner where you're feeling depression, remember those patterns. Identify those patterns, and then go seek help. It's fine. We got to get away from that stigma. Know the metrics. Numbers matter. These numbers that I'm up here quoting to y'all, I research. I want to know what's happening, specific to leadership, economic development, what's happening in our city. Know your numbers. It helps you know the game well. Hit your numbers. GPA, credit score. Don't let nobody mess your credit up. Don't take those credit cards. I did. I had paid off 19,000. I still know the number, 19,254 bucks that I had by the time I was 22 years old. Had to pay it off. I did, but again, don't work backwards. You know what I mean by working backwards? Don't work backwards. If you haven't gone down that path, don't. Get a card, use it, pay it off every month. It will build your credit. Actively network. Don't network with the idea of what someone can do for you. Network with the intention of what you can do for them. Have your elevator pitch ready. Operate with the thought. Again, this is what you can do for someone else. Always follow up. Look, I offer it all the time. Add me on LinkedIn. If you need me for something, follow up. If you need a job, I have jobs. If you need people to come, I got people. That's what I know. I have people. But do you know that less than 5% of people actually do it? And the people that typically do it are the ones that I help get the career change or the job or the scholarship. And some of them aren't even as qualified as others who I say, hey, please hit me up, let me know. And it's not just me, I notice people that follow up. And what's strange is it's typically the people that aren't the people of color that do it. Recruit mentors and sponsors. I'm big on this one. I know this one's tough for some. I remember when I was your age, I didn't want to ask people to mentor me. It felt inauthentic. But there's a lot of people my age, I'm 38 and a little older, that are looking for you all. We want to connect. We may not know how. We're hoping that you do ask. If it's in the career, I go on LinkedIn all the time and reach out to people. Hey, see you're doing X, Y, Z. Would love to grab a cup of coffee. Can we meet? And they're like, sure. Older people do it all the time. Those mentor relationships turn into sponsorship relationships, right? Mentors will speak on your behalf. Sponsors speak for you when you're not in the room. And you need both. You have to have both. Invest in yourself. If there's a training you need to do, spend the money to do it. Research, get scholarships, make sure you push for it. Last year, I actually spent like $4,000 on a leadership development program called Impact. I was an entrepreneur full time, and I spent my own money because it was great for the network and to help develop me as a leader. And from that, it actually helped me identify that I needed to make this career change and go to Chicago Scholars. So had I not done that program, I wouldn't have seen this opportunity, which has been like really life-changing for me. So invest in yourself, it's worth it. Strategically self-promote. Look, people don't know what you're great at. If you don't tell people what you're great at, no one's paying attention to it. But be strategic and don't over self-promote. A lot of people do this too much. But it's okay to post the awards you're getting. It's okay to post that you're speaking somewhere. It's okay to post that you started your business. It's okay, share. We need to know. If you don't tell people, no one will. Right? I remember when I was a young employee, I was 24 at Santa Fe Adventist. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. And I was doing hitting all these numbers, great things. And when promotion time came around, I got passed over. And I asked the manager, who was black, I said, what happened? And Malcolm said, it's not the fact that you don't do the job well. You don't promote that you do the job well. No one knows it. And I had no mentors and no sponsors at that company to speak on my behalf to make sure other people did. So I started doing the super silly sales calls. Hey, guess what, guys? I just won this thing. And this next year I got promoted. So you have to speak about what you're great at. Practice work-life integration. It's not balance. I integrate work and life. I'm working now. I'll work when I leave. I'll work tomorrow. But I also have fun. So I'm fitting stuff in there too. I'm teaching my class. I'll go see my nephew's basketball game. It's all about integration. And the cell phones we have now really help us drive that. It's a tool. That's what those are designed to be. Become the MVP of the game and then pay it forward. It is your duty, it's your responsibility as young people and people of color to go back and give to those that look just like you, from the same community and from the same neighborhood. And it starts with your family. You all are already mentors. Just by being in this room, you all are already at a place where many people in our community will never get to. And recognize that privilege that we have, and then go back and pull somebody up that doesn't look like you, but that looks like you. Stay flexible and expect change. This one is huge for me because, over the course of time, I'm going to tell you that there will be challenges that will arise. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be intentional obstacles put in your way. Whenever you are pursuing purpose, you have to know that whatever your faith system is, if it's the devil or the universe or the enemy, whatever you call it, it will come against you. but you have to be prepared. You have to build up an armor of strength around confidence in your own abilities and your skill sets, a belief in your own vocation and your purpose, that you are here for a reason. You're here to do something. And I'm going to bet more often than not, most of us in this room are here to help someone else. So we have to do that thing and push through even when it seems challenging. I'm going to end on a story. October 23rd, 2015, I was at Christ Hospital with my nephew. He had what we thought was an appendicitis, and so my mom and my dad, myself and my sister were there. Now they told us that only 2 people at a time could go back to see him in the triage where he was waiting to see if he had to have surgery. So while my mother and my sister were in the back, my father and I sat up front at the other end of the hospital. Now if you remember 2015, it was a little crazy then. This is around like the whole Ebola scare. So if you were healthy, you didn't want to sit in a waiting room with sick people coughing and sneezing. And so the waiting room was full of people who were freaked out and didn't know if they had the flu or Ebola. So my dad and I sat on the other end of the hospital. And so we sat there for about 2.5 hours and we waited patiently. It was late at night, about 11:30. I came from the basketball course. I had on some Jordans and sweats. I wasn't dressed like this. My father had on like a hoodie. He literally ran out the house when we thought my nephew was sick. And we sat there, and finally 2 security guards walked by and they say, "Hey, you guys can't sit here." So I say, "Okay, sir, where would you like us to go?" He says, "Well, I don't know, but go back to where you were standing before." So we get up and we walk, my dad and I walk, and we get to the middle of the hallway, and this is the door where the triage is, and we stand here, and we are standing there waiting, because we're waiting for my sister and my mom to come out. 15 minutes walks past, he passes us twice, 3rd time, 4th time, comes back. "Didn't I tell y'all can't stand here?" "Yes." I said, "Well, sir, let me know where you want to go." "You're not listening. Didn't I tell you niggas you couldn't stand here?" So I said, "Well, first, don't talk to my father like that. He's a 60-year-old man, doesn't deserve that. But if you show us where you want us to go, we'll go sit there." So he's like, "Follow me." So we're walking down the hallway, and I say, "So who's your manager?" "Why you want to know that?" "Oh, because I actually built the health system for Advocate. I know the head of the hospital. I know the medical director. I'm going to give him a call tomorrow." "Wait, you?" "Yeah. I know I don't look like that right now, but yeah. I do. Yeah, I'm gonna call him. Absolutely." Get to the edge. I'm not telling you. The other security guard does. We get to the edge of the hallway, and I turn. There's seats here and seats here, and I step to the left to go sit down. And as I do that, the security guard grabs me around my throat, throws me to the ground, puts me in the chokehold. Now, to give you guys context, you can look it up. This is the same day that I was nominated for a Chicago Innovation Award. And the same day that we were in the Tribune, Black Box Creative for Blue Sky Innovations. It's on my webpage. The same exact day. It's also the same day that they decided not to try the cops in the Eric Garner trial in New York. The same day. And effectively, what happened to Eric Garner was the same thing that happened to me. They threw me on the ground, put me in the chokehold. 5 security officers came and sat on my back. Couldn't breathe, and all I could hear my dad say is, "Please don't kill my son." They had a stun gun to my dad's head as he tried to take out his phone to record. So when they let me up, they cuffed me, I said, "Call the police." Oklahoma police come. I'm sitting in a chair. They're like, "What happened?" I'm like, I don't know what went on. At this point, they took me to this triage area away from my dad, threw my dad out of the hospital, never told my mom and my sister what happened. So I'm alone. Of course, the police come, and I say, "Look at the video. There's cameras everywhere." Well, y'all can guess what happened. "Oh, the cameras in that section aren't working tonight." Police take me to the police station. I get arrested and booked for assault and battery because I broke his glasses, they said. Right? Now, this is where I always tell people, in this country, you get as much justice as you can afford. By the time I got to the hospital, I had 2 lawyers there waiting for me. Because what they didn't know is that I also had built the websites for both the Cook County Bar Association and the Black Women Lawyers Association. I'm privileged. They get me out, and for the next year, I'm going to court every month, trying to do the evidence thing, finding evidence, fighting, trying to get through. And we get to July of the next year, and at this point, I've been on TV, every news station you can imagine, won every award. I spoke at 53 schools that year. Like, I went harder, right? And the judge looks and he says, something's not right about this. They never produced any evidence. This young man's been here every week. He's got people in the room, dignitaries, city leaders in the room, pastors, friends, everything we know. He told him, I suggest you talk to him and apologize to the security guard. So we go to the back, and I'm standing across the security guard, and I'm looking at him with tears in my eyes, welled up, and I'm like, why did you do this to me? He said, because you look like the people that give me trouble all the time. And I said, you do recognize you can't judge a book by its cover, correct? And he said, I did. And he said, when I got home, I looked you up. I noticed that somebody from Advocate had been going on my LinkedIn. You know, you see people who viewed your profile. And sure enough, every month. And he said, yeah, I looked you up, and I recognized you're the kind of man I need my son to be like. I'm sorry. All this for that. But I'll tell you that I didn't allow that to stop me. I went harder. I went extremely hard. I went as hard as I possibly could, recognizing that because of my own privilege, that situation was different for me. But there are black men and women every day that face the same situation, who look just like me, that don't have the same outcome. And that's what we have to change. And that's why the authentic versions, the full versions of yourself, but the full versions of yourself as leaders is what we need to change, not just this city, but this country. I'm not saying this to put pressure on you, but the pressure's on you. This is your season. This is your time. I urge and I encourage each one of you, you can connect with me however you need, whatever it is you need, I'll bring it. If it's time, money, resources, people, you have my commitment to partner with you. So I just want to thank you all. I think that's my time, right, Quinn? Yeah. I just want to thank you all, and again, encourage you all to connect, build, keep growing, grow together, work together. These are the people that will change this city. Thank you. Yeah, I have some. If you have any questions, I've got some.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for our keynote speaker? Don't be, I know it's a little nervous to let Ferguson speak.
I do, I have one.
Sure.
Yeah, so, do I stand up or I don't know, I'll stand up. So I just recently got a digital marketing strategy position at a company called Open Data. And so, as you may know, it's a primarily Caucasian field, so I just, what advice would you give for me, being a guy from the South Side going into this primarily white business?
Tough, man. The advice is hone your craft, because when you're tight and you're dope, they can't take that away from you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing. Learn everything you can there. Make them send you the inbound. Make them send you the content marketing world. Make them pay for it. Go get all those skills and start to build and hone your craft on the side, working with other people too as well. Our community is like at a depth of talent in digital marketing and advertising. Like, we need more talent that understand how to use it as a tool to elevate, grow business, grow revenues, grow whatever it is you're trying to grow. And so you have a skill set that's valuable and marketable outside of that company. Brace yourself while you're in the company for the mess, right? Be honest with you. They don't see you. And I'm thankful you're there because you're giving them a lens of something that they don't have in that company. But even when you go to the conferences, you'll see it's like content marketing inbound is 5,000-6,000 people, and it's like 35 of us that were black there.
Yeah.
So, but we build, right? Some of my friends that are doing some amazing things in the space. So go make them pay for it. Take that, apply it to the community, practice it on your craft, and we'll stay connected. I've got some projects for you too.
Yeah, once you told me what you did, I was like, I need to be connected to what you did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. That's it. Hope I didn't bore y'all too much.
No.
Was it good?